Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's good to be back. I feel like I should be welcoming myself back to my own channel. But anyway, to my regular regulars, thank you for always showing up. To my newbies, thank you for tuning in. My name is Pamela Msoni. I continue to share my journey on my relocation to Ireland as a nurse. I hope this helps nurses as well as other people relocating to Ireland, even if they are not nurses. So yeah, welcome back. Today we're talking about buying a car in Ireland. I'm going to share my experience of purchasing a car in Ireland and just share the options that you have, and yeah, hoping it helps someone. So before I go any further, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, and yeah, let's go. Let's get into it. Right, so I just put a few notes down in case you see me like looking down. I'm just referring to my tablet because I just put my thoughts in order. Okay, let's get into it. So buying a car in Ireland is relatively easier than buying a car back home. For those who come from Zimbabwe, you know how hard it was, how much you had to save up to get an extra or not even a brand new car. Whereas in Ireland, you've got options of getting a used car or a new car. So I'll share my experience of how I did it when I came. Initially, I didn't want to jump into the deep end because I just arrived, but I because of the weather, I knew I needed a car because there were going to be very rainy days in Ireland, and I knew I needed a car before that rainy season came. So at the same time, I was still alone. My family hadn't joined me. Sorry, guys, I know I sound fluey, but I've got hay fever, and I just had to do this video today. So bear with me with the blog nose. Bear with me. Sorry about that. So yeah, I got a car because I needed to be protected from the rain in the rainy season and the cold weather. But also, like I was saying, I was alone. So I was in no rush to get a very big car. My family hadn't joined me. So I settled for like, and also because I hadn't found my feet yet. I was still figuring myself out and what I really wanted. I didn't even know what kind of car I would really want in the long run at the time or how to go about it. So I decided to go for a smaller car, which would just be sufficient for me. And also another thing that pushed me to get a car early on when I relocated to Ireland was the fact that I knew the housing situation in our in the area we're located, or in Ireland in general, is very difficult. I knew getting a house would be difficult. One, because it's more expensive if it's in the bigger towns, and two, it was just difficult getting a house, and that was COVID time, so there were not many houses going up for rentals. So I knew very early on that I'd probably be getting a house a bit out of where I worked. So I decided to get a car quickly so that I'm able to look for a house and move and start getting ready for my family to come. So that is one of the things that influenced me actually buying a car earlier on and the type of car that I bought. So yeah, what I basically did was I looked around, I put out the word that I was looking for a car. I started looking online about my options, and yes, I'll get into the options as we go. But I was fortunate enough that I had a colleague that was relocating, and she had a small car which was really to sell to me rather, and the price for me was very reasonable. But then there are things that come with purchasing a car. There are requirements that are required for purchasing a car in Ireland, so we'll get into that as well. But then yeah, so I think the first thing that you have to do is to establish a budget to help eliminate cars that do not fit your financial situation, because you get cars from maybe 500 to as high as they can go to the latest cars. But then it now all depends on your own situation. Are you buying the car just for yourself or for you and your family? Do you want to just get a car once and for all? Are you comfortable with buying a car? Have you saved up enough to buy a car like once off? Like, because for a good car, minimum you'd have to have is like 4 or 5 thousand, maybe for an average. Let me say maybe a Ford, the Ford Fiestas, you need about 4 to 5 thousand for a decent car, that type of car. So would that be sufficient for your family? It all depends on how big is your family. Or are you comfortable in getting something small like what I did, and then eventually when your family comes, then you can upgrade. So basically, as I was saying, I had a workmate who was relocating. She had a VW Polo. I just asked around. I figured, okay, I think the price was 800 once off. So 800 euros for me at that time was not too difficult, because I was also not, at that time I was in shared accommodation and I was saving money and I was alone. I had that money at my disposal. So for me, it was okay, I'll get this car and then I'll save up for a bigger car later on. So I got that car. But what I did when I got the car was I looked for a reputable mechanic in our area, took the car to him to have a look at it and see if it was worth buying, because it can be cheap, like at face value, but then is it really a car that will be durable? Would it really be a car that I can use for at least a year before I upgrade to something else? So those are all the things you need to consider. So that's what I did. Got my workmate to go with me to the mechanic. He looked at the car, and then his report after looking at the car was, there are a few things wrong with the car, but there are things that are fixable. So it's a pretty decent car. It's got, the engine is still pretty good. So if I'm willing to, I can go for it. And he even gave me a quotation of what needs to be fixed. And looking at it roughly and what I bought the car for, I was going to be spending about 1,000. Okay, fine, that's fair and good. But when you buy a car in Ireland, that's not it. In Ireland, there's then three things that are really required when you get your car: motor tax, insurance, and an NCT. I think we all know what motor tax is. I think we all know that insurance is a requirement, and we've done insurances on our cars even back home. But the NCT is more like, is the car roadworthy? And that's a very important thing for any car that you drive. For the older cars, you need to have your car, it needs to go for an NCT, it needs to be checked for roadworthiness every single year. But for the newer cars, maybe, is it from, I don't remember, is it 2012 or from 2013? They have it, I think it has, if it's a newer car, then you can get it, the NCT done every 2 years. So when I bought that car, the NCT that was there had a few months to go. So he said, okay, fine, if you get the car, I'll sort it out for you and ready for the NCT. And that was all well. I got that car. He serviced it first, and then eventually when it was due for the NCT, I took it to him again, and he like made sure it was NCT worthy or ready to pass the NCT, of which it did go for the NCT and it passed. Right. Let's talk about insurance. In Ireland, you cannot drive a car without insurance. Even when you buy a car from a garage, even if it's a brand new car, even if it's a used car, you cannot drive it with insurance. It's a big issue here. It's either you are banned from driving if you're caught without insurance, or you get a penalty. Like it's a very big deal. So when I bought the car, the first thing I had to do was to change, because when you buy the car, even if it has insurance in someone else's name, you need to make sure it has insurance in your name, because if anything happens, you are driving the car and it's insured in someone else's name, then you're in trouble. So you make sure you have your insurance, you have your motor tax, and the car is NCT is in date. So those are the most important things for buying a car in Ireland. So right, let's move on to the types of, so I was still saying you could establish a budget to see, okay, my budget is 500. I think 500 would be too low. You get a scrap car for 500. But let's say you say my budget is 1,000 to 5,000 or to 3,000 for my first car. That's if you're buying cash. But if you're buying as per installments, as I'll explain as we go forward, and then you are good, because you're probably just going to pay a deposit. You must also establish how much deposit you're willing to pay. So you also need to determine if you're going to take the car on a payment plan. You have to determine how much you can repay each month if you're going to use any type of credit, right? Right, sorry for that. So I'll talk about the three types of credits you can get when buying a car. You can get what is called a personal contract purchase, or a hire purchase agreement, or a personal loan or credit card. You can use those three to get your car on credit. So a personal contract purchase is basically getting the car on, it's a form of hire purchase agreement, but this one is only different in the sense that at the end of the contract you have to pay a balloon payment to finish off the car, or you get another car and do the same thing again, which is more of a what you call this, a continuous cycle. So it depends on what you want. Do you want to get a car for 3 years, and then at the end of the 3 years, with you paying installments, you get another car, a newer version, and you keep doing that for the rest of your life? Or do you want to go with hire purchase? Hire purchase is where maybe you pay a deposit and then you pay installments for a certain period, and then at the end of that period the car is yours. And then also you can take a personal loan. In Ireland there's credit unions and you can get credit cards, or your bank can give you a car loan, though that is your other option, and then you pay back that personal loan either to the credit unions or to the bank where you've taken the loan from. So it's all up to you what you want to use. But then, so those are your options. Either you take it on credit or you buy it for cash. You do what suits you. So my first car, I bought it on for cash, and then I had to do the three things that I explained: the tax, the NCT, and the insurance. And then, what else? Let me just check what else I put down for you there. So then don't forget the ongoing maintenance cost of the cars. The cars need to be serviced regularly. The cars, the general running of the car, it probably then needs fuel and all that. So don't rush to make a decision. People come from different backgrounds. If you don't need a car, if you're in an area where buses and trains are accessible, then you can use that till you get to a point where you see you need the car. But for me, I needed a car because I was looking at getting accommodation out of the area where I work, and where I stay now is a 30-minute drive, and where I stay there are no buses, there are no trains to my workplace, so I need to always have a car. That was my thinking at the time. So also be realistic for in what you need for a car. For me, my first car, I just needed to get to work and be protected from the cold and the rain. And initially, when I was still staying near my workplace, it was just a 5 to 10 minute drive. So I would have a full tank like for the whole month. But then when I moved now 30 minutes out, a full tank will last me like 2 weeks. And then what I then did now, because my family then joined me. When my family had joined me, I knew very well that my husband is going to start working and I'm working and we can't share one car. So what I then did was I kept the second car, but then I got us another car, one, so that we are both mobile, and two, so that if we're working, we don't have to be sharing and strained to use one car. So then we're all mobile and we can all go to our workplaces, our respective workplaces, without having to wait on the other person to come back from work and anything like that. So that's the first car I got, and then that's the second car I got now. So it was more convenient, considering our location, to get two cars so that we're able to be flexible to move around, or in any case of an emergency, if one is left with the child at home, or needs to pick up the child and drop off the child at school, or needs to go get something from the shops, you're not waiting for the other person who's at work. So then with my second car, then I went for higher purchase, and I went for a more recent car. With this car now, I don't need to do the NCT yearly. The NCT is every 2 years one, but then it's the same drill. You need to make sure you get your motor tax and your insurance, and they wouldn't give me the car before I given them the insurance, or just an insurance number, policy number, to say that she's joined her insurance and the insurance for this car. Because Ireland being an advanced place than where we're coming from, even if I don't have the disc, they have it on record in the system that I've bought the insurance. So that's how I did it with the second car. And also I went for a bigger car with my second car because my family generally we love going for drives, we love traveling, we wanted something that would suit us when we go on a weekend away, when we go on a getaway. We've got enough space for our cooler bags and our bags and all. So I went for a much bigger car than the initial car, but then the initial car was still there. Remember, it's still in the picture. So now we had two cars. And then, yeah, like I was saying, insurance is very important in Ireland, and it's a serious offense to not have it. If you're caught without it, you get like 5 penalty points on your license and a minimum fee of 500, or sometimes you can be banned from driving totally. And then, yeah, so let's talk about insurance. Like I said, because it's a big deal. With insurance, you need to compare. You need to look at various companies. You need to ask people around you, which insurance company have you used? I'm not so sure if I'm allowed to pin or to put a link for the insurance that I've been using and that I've referred a lot of my friends to down there. But if you find yourself in a situation where you've gotten a car in Ireland and you want a cheaper a cheaper insurance quote, hit me up and I'll give you the link for the guy who's been helping me. And I was also given the link by someone, and I've been sharing it with my friends, and their quotes are always way cheaper than all the quotes that they've given, from what I've seen with me and with my friends. So yeah. And then also, when looking for a car, also look at reputable garages. Don't go to find out like the area that you're in. Some garages looks nice from the outside, but because we are new here, we wouldn't know whether those cars are really what can I say, durable. So ask around. You, most people will tell you, oh, no, that place doesn't sell cars that are that good. They are dead cars. They are blah blah blah. So people would always tell you, go to places if you're looking for a car, maybe for hire purchase or PCP. Go to places like Toyota. Go to places like Hyundai. Go to places like, there are certain, like in every area there are garages, and those places are good because they've got guarantees as well. So if something happens to your car, then they can do something about it. And then also, if you're going to think about buying a car once off and you don't want like credit every month for a couple of years, then you can go onto sites like Done Deal, Cars Island, and just word of mouth. Like for me, like I said, I got it from a workmate who was relocating, so it was easier because I knew it was a car she had been using for a while. And also, make sure you get the car checked by a mechanic, a reputable mechanic that is, and make, yeah, before you purchase it. And then, yeah, so buying a car as a foreigner as well, the most important thing is if you're using your international license, it would be more convenient for you to also have your Irish learner's license so that you get the insurance. Because if you don't, then they don't recognize the Zimbabwean international license. So it becomes so difficult. You have to kind of struggle to get insurance, but it's easier when you have an Irish learner's license and you've got your international license. Otherwise, just get the full Irish license if you're not in a rush, and then you can buy your car with no problems. But then another thing is, if you can't have the learner's license only, you might be able to get insurance and all, but you're not allowed to drive alone with a learner's license if you don't have an international license. And if you're caught on the wrong side, then you're in trouble. So each to their own. There, I wouldn't tell you don't do this, don't do that. I'm just giving you a heads up. But basically, that's how you buy your car in Ireland. Those are the two options. Either buying a car once off payment, or buying a car on credit. And those are the few things that I could tell you to consider, like when buying your car, and things like insurance, motor tax, and NCT are very important in Ireland. So I hope this helps someone. So for those who want an insurance company that gives a better quote, hit me up. I'll give you the link. And yeah, please like, please share, please subscribe.